What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Foxhound Finance, where we analyze the stock market using technical analysis. Please understand that I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. All right, guys, I'm back again. It's been about 2 months, but again, I told you I'm not going to do daily updates like the rest of these YouTubers do when there's really nothing to talk about and we're just throwing huge clickbait titles out there when honestly nothing's really happening, okay? So wasn't going to do that and just draw things out every single day and create false hype, right? I told you we're in the consolidation type of period, side to side movement. We were going up and down like 10 to 20 cents at a time. Really, that's nothing, right? That we're looking for price action wise. So I told you guys when we're in those phases, we're just kind of holding steady. Your options are to accumulate, right? To increase your position, right? Or to just ignore it altogether because nothing's really happening, right? And when things are going to break or we were about to see something like right now, I told you guys that I would, drop a video. So with that being said, we're going to go back and cover everything that I have on the channel in terms of SPY, Quick, NIO. We'll go through Dogecoin, AMC, obviously. I'll throw GameStop in there today. We're just going to cover the main ones, guys. RIVN, I think even Unity. I talked about Unity. I told you guys I no longer have a position in that, but nonetheless, all of the patterns and everything I told you guys months and months ago is coming to fruition now. With the big difference being that we are seeing it kind of stretched out, right? I told you guys, like, it's, to me, it's just very strange. Like, and the interest rate decision that we just had seems to be what is now going to be the catalyst, I guess, if you want to call upon a catalyst for this market to move. And obviously other rate cuts in the works as well. So let me just shut up and jump in. That's my 2-minute opener, but it's been 2 months, okay? So give me a break here. Let's jump into the SPY just really quick. I don't want to spend a ton of time like I usually do on this. I know I say that every time, but guys, real quick, when I go back right here, guys, is what I believe we are repeating. Okay. And I'm going to lay a scenario out real quick for you, but I want to just draw this out so that you guys can see it. If I can, there we go. Geez, you could tell I'm a little rusty. I've been charting, but like doing it live, not so much. Okay. So this is what I think we're doing here. And as you can see, after the crash from the COVID, right? Boom, you came down and then just had this long progression upward, right? Very steady gains in the market, not really crazy pullbacks. I do believe this is what we are getting right here, guys. So when you come over here to present day, right? Very similar, not as steep of a drop, but it's the same exact pattern, right? And back here, you guys saw that rate cuts were happening, right? I think people were getting like 2% mortgages and whatnot, right? 2 to 3% mortgages or something crazy like that back here. Maybe even less than that. I've heard, crazy stories what people are getting, nearly zero, I guess. I don't know how that makes any sense, but nonetheless, same recipe was happening back here. You had the rate cuts happening, money was coming into the market, pumping into the market, and then you had this steady progression upward. Narrative is slightly different. Obviously, we don't have the pandemic, right? We had the tariff scare. So again, not trying to kill this too much and go like too in depth, but guys, look at this, 663. If we go back 2 months ago, what is it, 920 today? Let's say back in like July, right? That I dropped the video. Is it back in July? A live stream. Market was sitting at 624, dude. We're up 40 something points from that. And as you can see from this wedge that I got drawn up here, we're above this resistance line right here, broke through that, and then now resting. So to me, guys, I just feel like you're going to get that continuous steady progression all the way up. I'm not going to, like I said, do a deep dive into the numbers for SPY, but I imagine you're going to get probably in the 700s, guys, for SPY at this point. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, it seems to me we're like halfway in this fractal compared to here. Like, look at this. Like, we have so much more to go to me, right? Like, if you're thinking like we're right here, like we hit the top already, right? Broke this top right here, then, positionally, I mean, there's just a lot of room to run. It could get really crazy. I mean, we could see like 800 SPY. I know that's nuts, but that's what I'm seeing for SPY. It looks very good, and obviously that looks good for the rest of the stock. So jumping into AMC, and again, I don't want to overkill it here. but let's go into the daily first. I got the EMAs that you guys can see right now up. 200 EMA is down to 354, okay? And look at the price action right here. Let me just clear these EMAs real quick so that you guys get a better view of this. But look at this. Inside this wedge, right here, these are my supports right here in the green, as you guys know if you've been following. And this yellow line here, guys, essentially is what I imagine would be the first touch when we break this wedge. If this price action next week, we're sitting at 301, breaks this red resistance, I would imagine we could come up to even a level here, like 356. But really, the top of this before the next major move is like 407, okay? So if we break out of this, then we're going to see what happens right here. And then if you continue to break even past this, like you're going to start shooting up these these next resistance tops here, right? 555. That would be huge because to me, it would signify that the lowest low, which would be back 238 and all in right here, is officially over. And like you're going to turn around now. That is what I'm seeing with the way that this is now forming. But I want to see us get past. I mean, it would be beautiful to get past a 555 and then shoot back up here to, like I said, maybe a double top at $12 or something. That would be amazing to see. But these are your resistance lines, guys. So like seeing my patterns, this is what I have drawn up. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this is the fourth test now at this line. Okay, and this has been drawn back to December 2024. And you have the rate cuts, small cap, risk on type of mentality. It looks to me like it's solid. Like this looks ready to go. I don't want to, overhype it and be too optimistic. But I mean, I don't know if I imagine a world where like you break below this and come back down to like, what would this be? Basically 240. It just doesn't really make sense for me given the nature of the market and how bullish it is. And the fact that they said the Fed wants to cut in October and then in December, and then who knows what January looks like. So I don't know. It's lining up again. And to be honest with you guys, regarding GME and AMC, I do think this sounds nuts, but I told you back real quick, going back to the SPY, just for a second. Just stick with me on this, okay? I did say that when this happened, right, the tariff crash, 2025, I did tell you guys, what did I say? 5 years ago, at the exact same point, that is when COVID happened, or the COVID crash for the market, right? If we go back to the weekly and we look at this, look, okay, 221, 219-ish right in here, okay? Same exact date 5 years ago. All right. And I just told you we're getting a very similar pattern. So this might be an extreme thing to say, but, and again, I've heard multiple theories, but if we don't get any sort of like breakout run now for AMC or GME, don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed, because what I think is going to happen is you're going to get a January 2021 repeat. I think you're going to see basically the same timing where if the market, right, if we have these markers in front of us historically, the SPY crashed down in February 19, 2020. And then again, we had a massive pullback with the whole tariff episode in 2025, February 19th. Who's to say we don't get the same exact run up that we did in January then, right? If we're getting the same fractal sequence playing out, we could see this go into January. Okay, so I'm just going to prepare you for that mentally. Now, however, what does that look like? Is it going to be the same thing where if there is another drop down and then a huge run up like going into January? Maybe, especially with the rate cuts. That's definitely a possibility. But in reality, if you see this break out and then you start to slowly creep up towards January where you're hitting these little lower markers, right? Then you have the giant wave. I mean, that's also on the table given the fact that this freaking chart is just so compressed, right? I can see it even going that way where for once, maybe we get a steady progression going into January, maybe not a squeeze straight candle, but that's a scenario where you would just creep up and then maybe you hit some of these levels here and then we go into January and then you have a nice real melt up candle, right? Because if you were to do it today, right? If we were to do it today, and you go up 2,000%, guys, or 1,000%, that's really only like 10x from here, right? So 301, that would give you $30, right? On an initial. And that, I mean, it would line up price wise, right? Because I think in January 2021, it was like $2 or $1.80 to $20. So, like, yeah, that would make sense from a percentage basis. But when you look at the chart and how compressed it is, it would not make sense in terms of what the January fractal looks like over here, right? Like, you come up from here into this $30 range right here, boom, right there. Like, this looks completely different then, right? And that might be the case because of the reverse splitting and all that other bullshit. So just something to think about, right? That it could be a tricky one where it's like you actually only get to the $30 level, and this is the new sequence, and we can't really base it off of the magnitude of what this looks like on the chart, because like I said, the split and all that stuff that happened may have skewed this now. But if that's not the case, then to me, you could get a nice progression up to here and then pop up to these levels. That's just me, but looking at how high the all-time high is, I don't even know if this is accurate anymore, but this is on the Webull chart setup. So 393, it just seems to me that that's just like a little, I don't know, it's a little minimal for me. Like, but it's 1,000% move at the same time. So just kind of have to play that by ear as we go forward. I don't want to get too deep, like I said, anymore into the theory basis, because again, we have to kind of stick to the here and now. And that is what we're getting right here. It looks like we are testing this one more time and maybe just get the breakout. You want to exceed the previous high, though, right? We want to get definitely higher than this, 359. And we want to literally break this. Like, if we can get past that, even if you come back down, you should get these stair steps up now for the reversal, okay? Real quick, without going too far into this, like, you look at the Bollinger Bands on the weekly, very, very compressed. You look at them on the monthly. I've showed you guys this like before in my live streams, like extremely tight. Like, you can barely see the Bollinger Band structure down here, because look at this, guys. Look at how freaking tight the Bollinger Bands are down here. And it's really truly hugging towards the bottom here. If they wanted to spring it down to like 211 and make an all-time reversal here, right, where you would have that spring down and then quickly rip up, that's also a possibility before like 1,000% move. It could just be the market makers trying to get her down and then just get the cheapest discount for their other buddies, and then boom, you just reverse immediately. It would never be like a, drawn out thing where we're going to get time to accumulate. Usually that's not the case, right? It's going to be a really sharp decline and then a sharp V-shaped recovery into the move. But that's just my opinion. I mean, based on how this is looking, it's very compressed. So that's it, man. I mean, we're looking at, if you want to talk the price targets, like, I have the levels back out here. Like I said, we got to get out of this zone in here. I've said it 100 times now. These are it right here, right? These main points of contact, I would think we have to address before we see the massive gap back up, right? Where we're filling all these gaps here to the top. All right. And then we have to also see what the CEO does, right? Adam Aaron, what he does with the company, right? That's all going to depend. Like, if he decides to do more dilution, doesn't matter at that point, right? If the market is now pushing, these interest rate cuts and that's being factored in, does it even matter with the dilution? I don't know. I don't really think so at that point. If we're in this run up, it could be that maybe they know this run up's coming and they're just going to prepare to sell shares so that they can make money. But I don't think it's going to really interrupt the price, right? In terms of like what targets we can go to. Like, maybe after, obviously, it might be used as the reasoning why it's coming back down. But that's just my opinion. I think that regardless, we're in that cycle now to get a big move up. And we have to get out of here first, guys, before we can get up here, clearly. All right. So AMC looks very, very good. Let's just speed run some of these, like Doge. I had this drawn out too, just months and months and months ago. Let's get rid of the RSI. And you can see here, guys, this thing's ready to rip too. I mean, look at how the progression has been. Do you guys not remember when I was covering it back here? God, I was back here in February covering this move right here. And then it's just progressed and bounced. Okay, so when we get out of here, I would imagine, guys, once we break out of here, real targets would be to fill this entire range in here, right? I know there's some levels in here sneakily, but really, it's a nice pocket right in here. for this move to get up to, and that would push you to like the 40-cent range. And I just would expect continuation. Like if you come up here, break, touch this, come back down to the support, right? It might look ugly to lose like 9 to 10 cents on Doge, and people might think it's over, but I think once you catch support here, you'll just continue. And when you break this, it's over, right? And again, this is all sort of lining up for a setup move for January again. If you even look at my connections here, right? My resistance and meeting support. If you get a nice move out of here, right? And then get rejected off, come back down, touch this, and then start building again, you know, it's lining right up in this zone, guys, for a nice breakout. And then when you break this, it's off to the races, because I do think you'll probably at least get back up to 75 cents up here, right? Maybe $1. Might see the Doge dollar, like I said, okay? So Doge is looking good. I said I would look at GameStop. I've charted this one out here. This one looks very incredible as well. I mean, they got like $9 to $10 billion in cash. Crushing the earnings reports. There's no reason for this to be shorted or suppressed anymore. So I do think that GameStop, obviously, it's the king of the memes, right? In terms of, you know, being the leader and pioneer for the big squeeze that led to the other one squeezing. So this one is obviously clearly in play. Money, not an issue. Sitting at 26.08. You do have to get back up to here. There's a gap fill right here at this $28. So really, I imagine you might just zip past that. You'll touch here. And if you're not ready to break this resistance, right, you might just come up, bounce down real quick, and then again, shoot off out of this. And again, we've seen it where GameStop has done this straight line move where it's just ripped through everything, right, before. So no really telling how that's going to look. It could just melt right through all of this resistance, guys, and go up to like 120, right? I think I had up here. Let me go on the weekly so you guys get a better visual. But like, look at this. You know, this is on the weekly time frame. I mean, if you can break out of here, you have a couple levels here right at 47.70, 64.7. You know, price action breaks through these. These could be used also as the stair steps, like I said, going into January. Like you break out of here, maybe you play around in these levels, and then, you know, get a nice move out of here. Again, I'm on the weekly, so it's going to look a little tighter, but like there's not much real estate here, right? Like, what are they going to do? Have it bounce here, come back down and pinch in here until January? Could, right? It's a possibility. But to me, it looks very good. And you could, again, like I said, melt right through this if there's enough pressure. You know, if the market's really, really on fire, this could just get melted like nothing. You know what I mean? Because you've already addressed it here. You know, with this big melt up candle, right? This has pretty much cleared the path for all of these resistance, essentially. So now that you've been there, you should be able to rip right through those as long as there's no fuckery afoot. So GME looks good. Want to get out of this. You know, once you get past 47.64, it's like a nice shot right up to 120, which is your previous all-time high equivalent anyway. Anything past that, God knows. All right. So that's your structure right now for GME. I'm not going to get into the crazy technicals. I mean, just right there, you see it, how compressed it is. You're due for a big move. Okay. So GME looks incredible. Just going back in history and looking at Robinhood, I've talked about this one a million times. Just look at this. I don't even have a structure drawn out anymore, really, for this one. But it's one I compare to, you know, Carvana, just that whole set of stocks that have this similar bull-shaped pattern, right? Crazy to see Robinhood up here. When I've been talking about this for months and months, that Robinhood was going to hit an all-time high past this $84, and to see it come to fruition, it just tells you guys we're on point with sort of our analysis. Is just depending on the time frame, which obviously matters, but the fact that you can see it progress though and develop into what we said it was going to is great. NIO, same situation. Look at this. You're playing out this scenario back here from IPO. You look at it from here, same setup, right? Just elongated, right? More drawn out, obviously. This was definitely a smaller fractal, but again, I've told you guys, the bigger the fractal based on multiple theories, that means the bigger the move that's coming for this stock here. So digging into it, we're on the weekly. You guys can see right here, look at this. All inside of this nice downward trend that they've had us, and you're seeing the reversal. And once you get past this 779, I'm telling you right now, that to me is going to signal that this is going to continue to the upside, like going forward, where there'll be no new all-time low, right? Your all-time low recently, at least in this fractal, is your 302, right here. Okay, forget about the 119 over there. That's the old cycle. So looking at this one, look at this. You're at 302, bounce, and you just continue to progress, okay? You break this resistance, and then again, there's still obviously like a level here, you could say, but I'm just telling you, you know, that's what we'd be looking at. You break this, you'd probably come up to 955. Go back and look at my old videos, guys. I've broken this down in depth and just totally different angles, but it looks incredible to see NIO also doing that, sitting at $7, man. That looks good. So what we want to see is hopefully not a double top where this comes back down and dances around in here again. It is a possibility, but if it breaks it, that just signifies for me that we are on the right path. If you look back here and you see technically this move right here for NIO, I see as sort of this move right here, but it's just really stretched out. But if you look at this move where it comes up, comes back down, comes up, comes back down, and then reverses, that to me, guys, looks like we've already surpassed this part of the sequence, right? And now you're going to get the continuous upside. And you see how NIO plays to the upside, guys. It's very vertical and steady. And this is over the course of like 6 months that it does this. Okay, and again, we're looking at this on the weekly. So you could just see, again, right here, now that this is popping out, if we're truly in this frame right here, in this section, and look at where my little consolidation lines are, right here. So you see it here, right in this little bracket, guys, lined up perfectly for me, right? Even the little red touchdown here with this right here. And then you just get the continuous progression to the upside, right? So it looks to me, guys, like this next 6 months, based on how the SPY is looking, based on how, you know, little stocks, even like NIO, right? The people said are worthless pieces of shit. I don't know. You tell me, right? You tell me. When I was talking about this one, and I'm not the only one. I know there's some guys out there that have been covering this, but back when it was tariff times, you know, we'll call it 302, people probably were like, oh, this is dead. This is going to get killed. And then you're sitting at $7. Like, this is why you can't listen to the freaking negativity out there, and you have to trust in your analysis and where things are at and really look at the historical indicators, right? This is it, man. Like, you're seeing it right here. I think that this was it. This is your bottom. Really, April, May, even June, multiple stocks, I think, hit their bottom and their turning points, and you're going to see the turnaround now, okay? And it's going to be too late, I think, for people to recognize this, because when this breaks, it's going to start getting violent like it did here, right? And so then you're going to have the conviction that this is going to continue if you want to jump into it at these levels, right? That's what I see. But minimum, guys, I see, you know, $16 long term, $24, right? Over the coming weeks, I'm talking like the next 8 to 10 weeks, probably, you would expect it to just ride up to at least this point. And then after that, guys, it's like really squeezy. Like, because when you hit this point, I mean, this is just waterfall drops down. And I would imagine you would just jump up to like crazy numbers like this, 44, 55. And then here's your all-time high at 67. Okay? Not digging in too much with that one. Like I said, RIVN, this one has been kind of playing around a little bit. I got multiple. I have to kind of clean this up, but bear with me here. Let's get rid of the intraday resistance and support lines and just look at this from like the full wedge angle. So like right here, you can see similar thing, guys. These are all ready to break out. And again, when you see RIVN, depending on how they decide to break out, you know, you're going to get your 17. You're going to get maybe 1880 back here. You're going to get 2456. You know, you could get the steady creep ups until you hit, when you guys hit these kinds of resistance right here and you break. I'm going to have to go to the weekly on this one so you guys can see it. And again, look at the patterns that we're talking about. Just straight death from IPO all the way down into this consolidation. You're telling me this is going to go lower. Doesn't make sense based on how this looks. And I just showed you Robinhood with a similar setup. I showed you Robinhood, right, with that bull-like pattern. And here we are with RIVN doing the same thing. And look at the breakout zone that we're in, right? 826 low. We have not come back down to this. To me, RIVN last year hit its low point and is ready to just bust out of this thing. So what I was saying is, when you get up to this, like last, I call this sort of the last point really of this like box down here. You guys see me mention this in my previous videos. Like, when you get out of this box right here, this is when you know, okay? I'm telling you right now, I can leave this up, you can screenshot this, that when you break out of this box and you get out of here, you're done. You're on squeeze type of time, right? There's nothing left. The consolidation period, guys, is here. You're not going to consolidate up here at these levels. It's just not the case. Buyers have been in this since down here in 2023, 2 years of accumulation, guys. You're not going to get up to here and then accumulate for another 2 years. It's not going to go that way. That's my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But based on what I've seen in multiple stocks, this is not the case. You're not going to jump up, break out of here, and then consolidate at $40. That's it. The buyers have already put their bets in down here, and now it's time to be paid when you hit these levels right here. You know, you're going to be looking at, and this is for multiple stocks, you're going to be looking at things like this, right? So you get up to this box right here. You're going to be looking at moves like this. Okay, and again, don't look at time frame too much. Just imagine what I'm showing you, because it's going to be tight. Price action is going to be tight. You know, you're going to see moves like that, where you're going to just get this vertical line, and you might get one of these downs, one of these downside moves to be bigger to scare people like this. You might get something like that, where it's nice and steady, and everyone's just like, we're making money, and it's great. And then boom, they drop you down to scare you to sell, and then boom, it just comes back up. We've seen it with Carvana. We've seen it with Robinhood. We've seen it with multiple stocks that do that. There's a last scare move, and then that's it, man. It's just melt up, and then to new all-time highs. I know that, right? 179 seems crazy from here, but that is how multiple patterns have played out, okay? So there's your Rivian setup. Unity, lastly, this was another one I've been playing around with, so my charting's a little bit all over the place, but nonetheless, you guys can see the progression of this one, and look, it's a little rough on what I had this on the daily, I think, right? Looking at your start right here of the downtrend, you got a little poke out right there, but keeping it clean, guys. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 attempts it took basically to break this line. 4 if you don't count the initial top there, but still, we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 5 is like 6 if you kind of count this little push here. But nonetheless, you got the breakout, and look what is going on with Unity. Okay, I talked about this one. I don't have a position in Unity, like I told you guys before, because again, every play that I told you guys at the time, we had much cheaper plays to get in, but Unity did go first. So a little stupid looking on that one, because this was the one I didn't, I thought they would all go at the same time, honestly, was my initial thought, that all these stocks would pretty much go at the same time, but they're sort of going in steps, which honestly works out better, because if you make money on one play, you can definitely, as a strategy, pump it into the next one that has not hit its full peak yet. So I said I would be down with that. I'm fine with that. But here we are in the weekly, 1390 all-time low reversal point. There you go. Came back down real close to it, right? That was probably our tariff scare situation right here. There you go. 1502. Boom. Higher low, and just exploded and just left this entire frame. Just left this entire zone. I think at one point I had like 2 parallel lines going down here, right? But for the sake of the breakout and the wedge, it was pretty much intact at this point. There was no need for it. So I restructured this, and now you see the clean breakout outside of this. And hit pretty much, guys, look, I told you on these breakouts, when you actually break this massive resistance line that formed back in 2022, like 3 to 4 years ago, you're going to get big melt up moves like this. And your first point of contact was right here at the 43.68. Guys, I left this alone. I haven't touched Unity, really. You just seen I had to clean up and erase some of the crappy lines that were from the older moves. But like, look at the actual 1, 2, 3 targets right here. You're already going up to those levels, and I imagine it's prepping. You could get a little bounce in here, right? When I say like consolidation, guys, I'm saying to you, you're not going to get this type of consolidation in here, right? Where you're going to get a year to accumulate in here on these. This is a kind of an ugly accumulation to me, because just look at how it is. There's not much flat in here, but you're not really going to get that up here. If you do, it's going to be a little bit of chop, but then you're going to get a next big push. So again, another one, guys, another example that when you break out of this zone right here, this is just me. You can go back, right? My videos are still up. You can see what I'm talking about. When you get out of this zone, this is the final box. And really, you can see this entire box is like the accumulation range. Not sexy because, like, look, your box is like up here to 58. Like, that's not really a place you would probably want to accumulate, seeing how it's gone down. But nonetheless, you know, if you were catching the lows in here and you average out what your position would be inside this box, what's to come is going to just pay off anyway, because you're going to break out of here and you're going to get a straight shot, probably right up to 110. Remember me saying this, that when you leave this box, you'll probably get a squeeze push up to 109, 110 initial out of this box. After that, guys, we are in squeeze market melt up territory. And so will the rest of the market be, right? And if I come out here to January, I mean, this is going to happen pretty fast, I think, depending on how the market wants to play it. Right? Usually in these kind of markets and these stocks, guys, it's going to just be very quick melt up. I don't know if they're going to let you get a steady progression and to get in this. I just don't know. And based on the gaps that I'm seeing right here in the structure, it's like a straight air pocket up here. So I feel like you get up here, you might get some creeping up here where you're going to go inside of here and then boom, you break out of it. You're right up top to 109. So watch that one. Already at $46. We've been talking about Unity since way back here, guys. Well, the start of my channel was like right in February. So yeah, right in these zones, guys, we were talking about this. Okay, and look at this. So looks very good. Everything looks, you know, according to plan. And again, like I said, I know I haven't been really uploading a ton, but I'm seeing my structures, and I hope you guys, you know, map your stuff out. You can copy these charts, guys, you know, and look at the IWM. You know, just simple stuff like this. Just like a simple setup. This isn't anything crazy advanced, obviously. But holding this whole support line here came down to it. There's your your tariff crash stuff for IWM, and this is our small cap basket. And then just ascending past the all-time high up here, right? So, boom. You've broken this now. And that, to me, is signaling that we're right here, guys. We're ready to go. And this might only be the halfway point for IWM. I think IWM could get into high 300s, mid 300 range. All right, so keep this in mind, guys. I will keep you guys up to date. We'll see what happens next week if like AMC, GME, and they're ready to start really pressing and pushing. But guys, do not be alarmed if there is a fake out, a rejection. You know, even if you came up to like this, you know, $5 and then came back down here, don't be alarmed. Don't get frustrated because, again, I told you already, we're running a similar cycle to COVID. So with that being said, guys, we know where the SPY was in 2021 when COVID ran, or sorry, Jesus, when AMC ran and GME ran. GME ran, not rammed. It did ram. It rammed the hedge funds. But we know where the positioning of the market was. It was pretty much at its peak. I don't know if SPY is at its top yet. So it's not really appropriate for these to actually go off now. If they do, it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm down for it to go early. But I don't want to create this hype like, oh, October, when you get this breakout, everyone might be like, oh, it's here we go. It's time. But it's like September, October. You know, we might get one last, like, you know, one last fake out to clear all this little baby resistance in here, like these little smaller levels. And when we do come back down, the next move is going to be explosive. And if it's $12, if it's past this and then going straight line to the top up here, fine, so be it. But you can see the difference here, right? Where the most resistance is. And it's clearly down in this bracket, guys, based on where the price action is. Same thing with GME, all right? We're going to see what happens, like I said, going into next week. I'm excited for it. But again, keep your heads level. Don't fall victim to the hype like people usually do online, right? So that's it. That's the update. If anything changes drastically and we do clear these zones, guys, you can expect me to upload, okay? So stay tuned, all right? You guys take care. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys in the next update video, all right? Good luck out there.